Hey guys, before we start, a quick shout out to Alpha Dog Nutrition for sponsoring this podcast. Alpha Dog products are now available at dusupply.com, and you can use code ALPHADOG15 at checkout for 15% off and a credit for free shipping to try it yourself. Now let's get you to your podcast.
Welcome to my podcast, where we are going to talk about a lifestyle with dogs and threw in a few life lessons along the way. Whether you're a hound hunter, bird dog enthusiast, running setters, pointers, retrievers, or a flat-out running dog junkie, this podcast is for you. I am your host, Heath Hyatt, a certified law enforcement canine trainer with over 3 decades of personal and professional training and handling experience. It's time for me to pay it forward. So grab your leads, lace up those boots, and come and join me on this lifelong process of teaching, training, and learning. Do you like to be outdoors like I do? If so, unlock the wilderness with onX Maps. It is your ultimate guide to exploring, hunting, and conquering the great outdoors. With detailed maps, real-time tracking, and exclusive access to public and private lands, onX Maps is your key to adventure. Discover the possibilities and never get lost again with onX. So subscribe today using the promo code K920. Letter K, number 920, and know where you stand. Good. So I'm getting packed up to head south, but before I do that, I have got the honor to have what I would consider somebody that has hunted a lifetime, and we're going to the northern woods again up in Maine. So I've got Nelson Cole on today, and most of you guys that, especially on the East Coast, that name is going to be familiar because Nelson's been around for over 50 years. His outfitting business was Nelson L. Cole and Sons. Nelson has slowly but surely turned it over to somebody else. But we are going to have a great conversation today. In fact, he's been hunting today. Like, he's been out, chasing the bear today and put a couple up a tree. And we're just going to talk dogs. We're going to talk training, and we're going to just talk life. So, Nelson, thank you so much for taking the time and doing some traveling to get down and to record this with me. Like, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. But how's things with you, and what's going on in your world?
Well, like I say, I'm retired quite a lot, but I still work every day. And every chance I get to go hunting, I like to go hunting with good dogs. I'm down here today with Doug. I've known him for 30 some odd years, maybe even longer. And he's got a good pack of hounds. There's only one thing the matter with them, is I don't own them. That's the worst. That's the only problem I can see with them. We have a good time when we go, and whatever we do is to benefit the species that we're hunting.
Yeah. So Doug, he's been on a couple times, and he's facilitated this for me to record with Nelson. So you got to give him a shout out. So Nelson, tell us just, for the guys that don't know, which I can't hardly see unless it's some really young guys, like, tell us a little bit about your outfitting business, how long you did it, exactly what you outfitted for.
Well, I started hunting when I shot my first bear when I was 12. I had my first dog when I was 12. And I hunted all the way up through till high school. I got out of high school, I got drafted in the Army, went to Vietnam, came home. In May of 1969, I started working for another outfitter, and I worked for him, a good friend of mine, for 8 years. And then they closed the spring hunting down in Maine, and made it kind of hard to work year round. But I mainly like, hunting with hounds. So I worked for him for, 8 years, and we were still good friends. I worked for him, helped him, and he helped me if I needed it, over the years. He passed away now. I know loud, I'm worse than Biden. But I got married in 1969 and had a son and a daughter. And my daughter is still living and got 2 grandchildren. But anyway, to get back to the hunting, I started my own business in 1980. I started guiding full-time in 73, but I guided at first when I could get to work. In 73, I was full-time guide, and that's all I've done other than, slack time. I might do anything to earn a dollar that's honest. So I usually took around 100 hunters a year, mainly, 60, 70 bait hunters and 25, 30 dog hunters. And I had a good streak for 17 years. I never missed a hound hunter on a bear or a bobcat. And I took 3 a week. So I was doing good. And we started out with some Nance bred dogs that we got from Lester Nance. My oldest brother got me into the hunting, so I can blame him for this. But we had a Nance bred dog, and they also had a Walker Hound male that they bought, and I believe it was out of Motley's Missouri Major. Now, this was back in 64, 5, 66, and they bred them dogs, and we made outcrosses to the house bloodlines.
Mm-hmm.
And they were good cold-nosed dogs. And I mainly, back in them days, we never had collars. We always bred for voice. But the most important thing to me on the hound is feet and legs, because if he can't hunt every day, he's not that valuable to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's bad to have to keep 10 or 12 dogs to hunt for, a couple of months a year. Now, when I first started, there was no closed season. You could hunt year round. And we used to hunt biggest part of the summer. Sometimes you'd treat 2 or 3 bear a week and not even kill one because it'd be robbed. But the guys would, go out for pictures and stuff like that. Get them out the outdoors and get a taste of Maine. The black flies got a taste of them.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I've had a pretty good life, I guess. I've done what I wanted to do and made a little bit of money doing it.
17 years in a row successful on your cat and bear hunts. That's phenomenal. Like that.
It is. And if I get the books, I have everybody sign the book. And now some of them didn't kill, but we treated the bear and they could have killed it.
Mm-hmm.
And we had bobcats bayed up that, they could have killed with a stick if they'd wanted to, but they decided not to. I told them, the killing, if the animal's suitable to harvest, it's up to me to make the final decision. If we treat a small bear or something, I'd tell them what it is. Now, some people came just to kill a bear. They'd kill anything. But we never shot a sow with cubs. And if we had a female that was running with kittens, we never even run them. So, you got to take care of, you got to be a conservationist as well as a guide and hunter and outfitter.
Mm-hmm. So I want to go back to your breeding real quick. When you said you bred the major dog, so he was Nance bred, correct?
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure, but Missouri Major, I think, was a spinoff of some of the Nance dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Our bloodlines are mainly Nance, even though it's been, 7, 8 generations. We've bred what we've had. And right now, this one dog I get out here now, he's, more as much house blood in him as there is Nance, but it's getting watered down.
So, and I wanted to ask you about the house blood because now if you go back to one of my foundation females, she was a female. Now she was Finley River. She went back to Finley River Nighthawk, which was a world champion. And I know that don't tree game, but I'm just kind of giving you her background. But on the top side, she went back to Lester stuff. She was a big gyp. She had good legs, good running gear, and I've actually got great grandpups, 4 generations right now, 4th generation pups out of her right now. And I see some of that in them. And the house stuff. Do you see, because I've kind of experienced this myself and I hear a lot of chatter about it, but a lot of people say that if you can get House's Clint in your bloodline, that's the dog that has predominantly through good trail dogs. Has you seen that, or is that a name that rings a bell with you?
Well, I didn't have a House Clint bred dog, but my brother had one that went back to House's Clint that he got somewhere and bred it into my old musket dog, which was pretty much all Nance.
Mm-hmm.
And they were good dogs. But the house dogs that I've seen had good noses and they had pretty good feet. But these dogs, like a male I got out here now, he's got super good feet, black pads, and a lot of hair around his toes. And that's, feet and legs, like I said, to me is more important than most anything. Bred for feet and legs and voice, mainly. And, of course, nose. They have to have a good nose.
Yeah. And so if you were running year round, like how many dogs were you keeping and how many days a year do you think those dogs were like actively hunting?
Well, when we was hunting anytime we wanted to, we had 12, 15 dogs because there was when I first started, like I said, there was no limit, no laws, no nothing. And, but we still only run 6 hounds on the bear, and we didn't shoot sows with cubs unless it was a nuisance,
right.
some situation where the fishing game wanted them out of there. But the beekeepers especially, they wanted them gone. But when I was doing it, they changed the season. They changed it down to 4 dogs. I had 12 good dogs myself, and I mix them up. I book a party of 4 or 5 guys. I had a couple of good friends of mine. I had a couple of guys working for me, and we could split off with 2 packs. But I know it's hard to get a good dog. What suits me may not suit you, and I found out a long time ago, if a dog's got a problem, first thing you got to do is admit you got a problem, for you never fix it. But you got to cull him, and don't be scared to cull him. Just because he's at an old blue or old spot, I mean, he's going to be a whirlwind like him. But the lineage that we've got right now, when we started breeding them, we got other dogs in. People would come, you buy a dog thinking he's going to make a good dog, and just didn't have it. Didn't have the desire. And these dogs that I've been breeding, they run to catch, and they run to catch the game. And maybe don't matter what you're running beagles, I want them to run to catch, or anything that they're hunting with the dog. So the dog has got to have it in him.
Yeah, no, it's amazing to me, and I'm sure you see it. I mean, anybody that hound hunts that like sits back and actually wants to be better and tries to be better, like the difference in opinion of dog, and even in my canine world, even in when I train dogs for for life or death situations, not for catching game, but for catching bad guys. Like you can have 5 people evaluate a dog, and none of the 5 people see the same things, and they don't. Right. It amazes me that there's that much. I don't even know the word. There's that much difference in opinions in what a good dog is and should be.
Right, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah,
like I just said, what suits me may not suit you.
That's right.
But,
and I know that you and Doug are good friends. When going down and hunting with Doug, and Doug's been hunting a long time too, and he said it. He said it on this podcast that a lot of people haven't had the opportunity to actually see one of those above average dogs go, so they don't even know how to evaluate it because they've never seen it.
That's for sure. I mean, I had one dog Doug and I was talking there about one of the best dogs I've ever had. People say you only have one good dog in your life. I disagree. I mean, I've had several that, I made my living with. I had one dog that he's been dead probably 7, 8 years, but his dog was in the bobcat video over rough.
Mm-hmm.
I killed 154 cats with him. I harvested 154. And I don't know how many bear. He was a good rig dog, and he was a good A1 cat dog. Put him on the cat, you're usually going to see him. You just harvest him if you want, that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But,
so, well, let's talk a little bit about cat. I know we kind of briefly hit this, and there's so much I want to talk to you about. I hope I don't miss it. What, in your 50 plus years as guiding and using the same dogs for the same, for cat and bear, what's some of the differences you've seen in a top-notch bear dog and a top-notch cat dog? Because we all know that there's some differences there.
Yeah. Well, I had the dog there, like just speaking about Ruff. He was an A1 cat dog and bear dog. I had a full brother to him, a different litter. And his name was Tuffy, and Doug had hunted with him quite a lot. He was an A1 bear dog, but he run too wide on a cat to suit me. He'd make a loss when he shouldn't have. But again, he didn't have the experience. I only took him when I positively needed to take him. If Ruff was, sore, Annie was sore, I had the mother to him, Annie. And I used to try to bring another dog along all the time. I usually hunted 2 dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And another problem was he was pretty good, but he was death on him. And people don't want to go in and find a cat.
Yeah.
Already dispatched.
So you're only hunting.
I usually run 2 dogs.
Okay, yeah, 2. But you had no problem running just 1 dog.
No, if I have a hunter for one day, I get a good dog, and I really want to get a cat, I take 1 dog. That way, that dog don't have to correct his own mistakes, and he don't have to correct the other dog's mistakes. He only has his own mistakes to correct.
I literally just recorded a podcast, or maybe I just played a podcast. I can't remember. Gets mixed up some, but I've got 2 young dogs that are they're older now, but basically one was 12 months old and one was 14 months old. And I said that I don't want one causing problems for the other one that I don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't split them up, then I was going to cause problems that I didn't want to have to fix because I didn't have a problem to fix to start with. And a lot of people I don't want to split them up because I'm losing hunting time with one or the other when I do that. But at the same time, the problems that I'm going to cause by not splitting them up is going to cost me another month or 2 trying to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you always got to keep on coming, but sometimes your best advantage, I know guys that go hunting, they'll take 3 dogs that never run a cat and put them on a cat track, expect to get him. You got to pick one and get him so he's efficient and can get a cat, and good enough so he can get one alone, then you maybe want to work in another dog with him. That's my theory.
Mm-hmm.
But, the mother of these 2 dogs is people rough and tough. Annie, she was 9 months old, the first cat I got with her alone. And I ended up killing, with her before she was 14 months old. I killed 8 or 9 cats with her alone. And I hit another dog, but I took her on good snow where it was easier for her. And, when it really got hard going, I took the old bitch I had at the time. And, but she turned out to be one of the better dogs I ever owned too.
Do you think so? I had Dale Cameron tell me this before, that he never hunted his dogs together until they do just what you just said, that they could do it by themselves.
Yep.
Once they could do it by themselves, then he would put them together. But he refused to hunt them until they were sufficient by themselves.
Right. Now on bear, it's a different story. I've got some dogs, they're only pack dogs, and it's because they never had the opportunity to do anything themselves. And I had guys tell me I wouldn't have just a dog. He can't run to it alone. Well, I don't want him. Well, you got to be training them all the time. And just like Doug and I was talking today. If one of the good dogs is dead, the next best one is the number one dog in.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to get one to do it before you can get two to do it. So
I'm curious now. I want to go back to the cat, and you said that the rough dog was an excellent bear dog and a cat dog. Yeah. So let's talk about their running style, because I don't cat hunt, but I know enough about scent and odor to put some pieces together. Like catching a cat's not easy.
Yeah, they're had an animal to run by all means.
So when you're talking about running style, and you said that dog runs to catch,
mm-hmm.
Did he run the same style? I don't know if that's the appropriate. I don't think that's the right question, but like you got two different style of dogs. His brother run wide, would swing on you.
Yeah. He ran too well. He would be off the track, but he'd come back onto it. But if the cat jackknifed this way and he happened to swing this way, then he lost 30 seconds to get back, get on the line again.
So it's different in a bear because he can pick that up and catch the bear. The cat is completely different because of the patterns or the running route.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you.
Rough, he could run one, ass in him and run off the track some, but very seldom. Usually he jumped. If on the cold track, for instance, a cat pacing, stepping out, 18 inches, a good 30-pound cat, 5-6 inches of snow, you put Rough on it, he jumped in every other cat track. It'd be a track, maybe the edge overstepped the second track in a row, and he jumped, and I mean that's what I mean. He was after him, and the cat is sharp-winded. I mean, I took him mountain lion hunting, and I hunted Idaho, British Columbia, Colorado, Montana 3 times. I think we never got skunked. We treed lions every time we went. I only killed one. I got a full mount on it, but I like to go out and go with them. And I mean, we took our own dogs and went out. I went with other guys. If they wanted the lion, if good Tom would let them shoot it. If not, we left it.
But I would think if he's catching, bobcats, the mountain lion was kind of like a bonus.
That was nothing really.
Right. Yeah.
Once you got him jump 20 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah. Nice. So the trailing ability, because we know that the bear is going to leave more scent than your bobcat. Just body size alone, you've got more odor.
Right.
So when your dogs are trailing bear, do they stay as tight to the ground as they did when they were running the cats, trailing the cats?
No, they seem to drift the track more, a lot more,
and move it faster because they can run faster.
Because different animal, different scent.
Right.
I mean, Rough to me, he was an exceptional dog. Whenever he went in a hurry, and he didn't overrun much. That's the key right there to me. A dog making a loss, if he goes a quarter of a mile in 30 seconds and the son of a gun loses for a minute, he's not helping you, or he's not doing his job right. But I don't know how to explain it, I guess, but I've seen bear cross the road on the snow on the snow back when we used to hunt, and the dogs would run on the downwind side of it. And we were sitting one day and watching the bear cross the road, and we see him cross. There was a little bit of snow on the ground, and the dogs crossed. 6 dogs, we never even see them. They crossed down the bottom of the knoll there, crying out loud, 40 feet, 50 feet off the track, and driving just like they were looking at him, right out of hearing, and they treat him. But if they do that on the cat, because the cat will jackknife all the time, and if they zig when he zags, they're going to make lost time.
And I guess it's just like bear hunting. The more times they lose and have to go back and pick up, the further that cat's getting ahead of them, and the chances of catching it is slimmer and slimmer.
Yeah, and the cat will run blowdowns and everything that throws them off track. If there's 2 trees cross, for instance, I've seen them go up and go like this. Now a dog will run right straight ahead, think he's going to come off the end of the tree. If it's a tree up 4 or 5 feet off the ground, mean, I've seen it a couple of times. And if he'd come off the end of the tree, the dog would have made time on. But when he had to come back the length of the tree and go length the other tree and pick it up, they can't get the stat. Well, I didn't see it happen, but I see it on snow, and I know what happened. It still didn't matter. We caught the cat. And
did you see that? And somebody told me this, and it may be false information, but did you see that the cats bayed more than they treed?
Yes, a lot more. And I'll give you. I'm back to rough again, but he treed 26 cats. I think there was 9 shot ahead of him on the ground, and 122 that he run and caught. And I've had people tell me, well, he was silent, but he wasn't. I mean, if he went more than 20 feet on the track before he opened, it'd be a record. I mean, he won a babbler. If you're sending it, he'd go and open and cold trail it up and jump it and catch it.
So did you find, and again, I don't have any experience cat. I've caught a couple on accident coon hunting or bear hunting over my years, and that's been it. But now, when he caught them on the ground, did you have to worry about them getting ripped up? Because I hear a cat will lay on his back and try to. Yeah.
I've got a video. If you have a VHS or VCR, I'd send you a copy. Yep. But there's a big cat. I think it weighed 39 pounds.
Ooh.
And we get it on video, and the cat come after him, but there was a tree in the way. Then he come back, and he got on in slow motion. I think you can see that cat's feet and legs going something like 26 times. And the dog was on top of him, no rough, but trying to get away, of course, in slow motion. It seemed like fast time, it would just happen, 2 seconds. But he was trying to rip the guts out of him, no doubt. But that's probably the best thing ever happened to him, because he was pretty fierce on him. And, sometimes if the cat went big enough, we didn't want to shoot it anyway, and sometimes it's too late.
Yeah.
But that done more good for him is being smartened up. He got his education right there.
Yeah.
And he got bit good too.
That's a big cat. I mean, that's a big cat. What about locate? Like, I mean, here, if our dogs tree and leave and tree and leave and tree and leave, and sometimes we get to the tree and it's a cat, sometimes we don't. So does a dog have to be a better locate dog? And what are the percentages, or what is your thoughts on, the cat bailing out so many times? Is that normal?
I haven't only seen probably 4 or 5 cats jump in my life. But if I was to locate, if I was going to start cat hunting with a green dog, I'd pick a dog that had been run on a lot of coon for the one reason. If the cats treed, now they don't treat like they used to, but they're a better locator. A coon dog usually can locate pretty good. They locate a cat, because the cat will jump up on the tree sometimes 8-10 feet. I've actually seen a cat run a blowdown and jump across 7-8 feet up on the side of a big tree, and it took the dogs a while to locate him. But they did. The scent, drifted down enough. But we had to make sure before they located it. I mean, it was like a track ended, and it did. But the cat actually did run up a blowdown and jump off onside that tree. And he jumped across the space that was 8-10 feet and landed onside that tree.
And was he still there?
Yeah, he went up the big tree.
Okay.
The big tree was 7-8 feet from this big pine. I think it was big pine or hemlock. And he jumped across 7-8 feet and landed on the side of it up 6 or 8 feet. And takes a good, dogs have locating. Some dogs that gave up and run the backtrack, maybe.
All right. So let's walk through this. So the dog, he went up a blowdown, and he literally he jumped an open space into a tree, climbed the tree. So there was no track going into the tree other than what was on the blowdown. So basically, those dogs are treeing a layup. Would that be
Well,
correct?
they smelled on the tree and they figured it out, and then they located.
Mm-hmm.
But if we'd have been walking a situation where the dogs had been ahead of us for 20 minutes, we'd never known what happened. They'd been treed, and we thought they'd done a hell of a job, but they did do a good job. Like I told Doug, any day you get a bear or a cat, your dogs do good. Days they don't do so good.
Mm-hmm.
But they kind of figured he was up. We could tell the way he acted. I said, let's see what they do. Maybe this has happened before. Who knows? Sometimes some guys said the dogs come back, and you don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But that particular case right there, that cat run a blow down for a big tree that was 20, 30 feet long and leapt right up on the side of another tree. And just took them a while to figure it out.
I got it. Yeah. And I mean, again, when you go back to the bear side of it, especially when the leaves are off, most of the time, not all. So we'll put that anomaly in there, but most of the time they can see it. Where a cat, they're doing more of the scent to source, and source means the animal itself. They've got to find the source. Where with a bear, I can run into that area, and if I look up, most of the time I can see it.
Right, but people say they treated the bear and they couldn't locate him. Well, I don't know. I'd have different dogs by morning if that happened to mine, truthfully. But a bear, they climb up a tree, is pretty much sent everywhere. But I know some dogs will overrun the tree, the ones that run wild. I've seen that happen on a dog that I thought was a hell of a dog. And, he was always seemed to be off in left field for a few minutes, but he was a good tree dog. And
he just had to circle back and find it.
He had to circle around, come in on it. And then he was like, he's $1 million dog again.
Yeah.
When he was out doing that, he was a $5 dog.
Depends on what part of the race he was in, right?
Yeah.
I like him $5 dog. I'll buy them when they're $5.
Yeah, I don't know. Every dog has this day, they claim, and it's like I was saying before. That's when you pack dogs. Some dogs, only opportunity they get is to run in the pack.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of hard to judge them whether they do it all alone. When you're bear hunting, I'd like to have 3 or 4 dogs on a bear. Now, one dog will tree a bear. I've had about every dog I've owned, my good dogs all treat bear alone. But that bear wanted to climb a tree, But if he was ugly and on the ground rushing them, one thing another, it takes, they need some cheerleaders sometimes. Some of them do to help them stay there.
Yeah, I had a guy tell me one time that you want to start your young dogs and get them going, but you need an old experienced dog there to kind of show them the ropes. That way they're not going there and just getting beat up because they don't know what's going on.
Yeah, if they can make a couple of bear on the ground, usually it's a good chance they're going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, I don't run my dogs on coon because I'm like Doug. I like to start them on the game I want to hunt them on. But I can see whether the coon hunting them when they're younger, they learn to respect animals like a coon bites the living daylights out of them. They might see a bear and say, he's a little bit more bigger than I think he is.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's got their own method on training, and none of them's right, I guess, to some people.
Yeah.
Their way is always right. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I used to, of course, our season's nowhere near like you guys. Like, I get 3 months a year to hunt here in Virginia. And I used to start all of my young dogs on coons because I wanted them running and treeing. I wanted them trailing and treeing. So that was what I did. And then I got away from that just because life and, work and everything else. So I just started getting them started on bear itself. Mm-hmm. And I literally had this conversation here a while back with the person. So my problem is if you just start dumping them on hot bear, then they can't learn to trail when you're programming them to do this. And that's a training issue. That's not the dog's fault. Not the dog's fault. That's my fault for not exposing him to other environments. And now I'm kind of in the place where I've had a couple litter puppies in the summertime. So it puts me at that age. I don't know what age do you like to start running like your young dogs?
If I have rabbits around, I like starting about 4.5, 5 months old.
But I mean, on big game, like when would you say?
I've done it, and I probably ruined a couple of dogs. I took them. I had a little female I took when she was 4.5 months old, and just a handler, like Doug took a young pup today. I know the pup is 4 months old. Just took him for a ride, and I let him out the back cross road just see what he'd do, and he went a ways. But the bear scared the hell out of him. I know it did, but maybe the best thing ever happened to him because he lived to be a ripe old age. So, is it right or is it wrong? But I want them so that they know enough, realize what danger is to not run up and stick a nose on the bear, see what he is. But now I start my dogs young. I prefer rabbits to get them trailing. And if they can run a rabbit around and around, back and forth, and figure eights and everything else, they make good cat dogs. One of the best cat dogs I ever had. I run in the World Wildcat Hunt up there in Toronto, Nova Scotia in 1973. She was 17 months old, and she could run a rabbit and put it to him when she was, 5, 6, 7 months old. And I don't know if you ever hear of Cougar Lee for Taurus out in Idaho. He passed away now, but he had Rawhide Guide Service. He came up there, and everybody figured no sense going because he's coming the world champion cat dog. But we treat 2 cats that day, and I hunted with him, and he dogged it all right, but it wasn't. He was used to open country, like places I hunted in British Columbia and places Idaho. Colorado, if we'd had the 4-wheeler, if it hadn't been real steep, we could have drove it up to the tree. As a matter of fact, Idaho, we hunted the River No Return Wilderness, Salmon River. We had mules and horses in there, whatever, and we rode it up to the trees. And it was open country compared to what we got. And no matter who you talk to, they all got the roughest country you ever see. But as bad the countries I've seen is down in Doug Temples in North Carolina. I was down there, I think 2 weeks ago now.
Yep.
Yeah, about 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But, all country and everything else and thickness and what they learn to run in, helps a dog. Now, Nova Scotia is like we have them Jack Furs that are 2.5, 3, 4 feet tall, and they're so thick you can't even step down to the ground. And it's hard for a dog to get through them.
Yeah, and that's funny because I hear a lot of people talk about the coats. The guys up in your area, a lot of them like a thicker coat dog. That way, they're not the brush and the underbrush and stuff's not beating them down. Like, my dogs. I've got 2 thick coats, 1 medium, and then I've got some pretty light coats. And it's funny how, that preference changes from terrain to terrain, or state to state, how people like that differently.
Yeah, these dogs all have good thick coats, but another thing on these bloodlines, I've had guys show me papers saying this dog goes right back to Nancy's little topper. Well, I got original less than Nancy's little topper bloodline on a dog we had back in the late 60s. And I compared the UKC number. That don't change on any dog. And he was so far from him, he wasn't even on the same pedigree. I said, he might be from Nancy's little topper. He's not from the one that I know. So
yeah,
I know of.
Right. So let's go back to your outfit a little bit. Let's tell us, I know you've got all kinds of stories because you've done it too long not to have good stories. But what's one of your most memorable hunt? I don't care if it's dog related, if it's client related. Throw it all together. And what's one of your hunts that really stand out? And I mean, I know of the thousands that you have, it's probably hard.
Well, it was last week. This particular hunt was the last week in October. I had 2 guys come up from Ohio, and they ended up being real good friends of mine. Matter of fact, they hunted with me. One of them comes every year for the last 7, 8, 10 years. Doug knows him, named Brian, and another guy named Jason. They'd come on a bait hunt. They didn't see anything they wanted to shoot. They saw a bear. And I said, I think the last week of the season, the guys are going to cancel out. If you want to come up, come on up. So we rigged in, had a bait, but it wasn't very active. There's beech nuts. And we was rigging in the beech nuts. I had an old dog that everybody knows up around my area. It's called Musket. He's the mainstay of these, this line, basic line I got right now. And we had a split chase. We run one bear for, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours in a wooden tree. And he finally came in an old tote road and the guy shot it. And then Musket and a niece of his, her name was Sleeper. I don't know how the kid's named the Sleeper because she was sleeping. I was a puppy. Anyway, we went around, found her and him. And they had a big bear on the ground. They had him all day long. They got into the big woods and we had to do some hiking. And we killed him right at the edge of dark and skunned him and quartered the meat out because the main you have to bring the meat out anyway. But we boned all the meat right there and brought the hide and the meat out. But that was as hard a hunt that I'd been on. This was kind of loud 20 years ago. I was in a lot better shape than I am now. But I mean that stood out as being a real good hunt as far as the dog work and the rough terrain that they was in. And the bear was tired. I mean, the guy walked in and shot him with a 20 gauge shotgun right underneath the chin. He never knew what hit him. But, I mean, I've had a lot of them too. I mean, I can't. That one they just happened to come to mind.
Yeah. Yeah, the good dog work's what always stands out to me.
Yeah.
You know, when you have that, you know, exceptional race or work, stuff like that. That's mostly the stuff that I remember. I couldn't, even if the bear was harvested or not, I probably couldn't tell you or who even done it, but I could tell you what dog did what.
Yeah, we was chasing a big bear one day and we see him cross the road in the headlights and we was trying to catch a dog. So that's the last place I wanted to be. And at that time of night, but we got the dogs off and we went back to camp and heads up and got up the next morning. I drove it up that spot where I picked them dogs up, opened the dog box and let old Musket go and Annie, and they took the track and went picking on it and they get down in there. The bear didn't go
Far.
Over a mile and he laid up.
He was tired.
He was tired and I dumped, the rest of the dogs onto him and whatever the legal number was. But anyway, they bayed that one there. He just bayed up again and get in on him. He'd break him move. And I had a couple of young fellows with me. I said, boys, that bear wants to run. Make him run. Run right in there and screech and holler and pound the trees, do anything. Make him run. We made that bear break 5 or 6, 7 times. And it got so when he was only going about 40, 50 yards and stopping, and they make him break again, he go 40, 50 yards. I said, now it's time to take the client in. We walked in, and the bear just like he gave up. And he was a nice big bear. We never weighed him, but he was way over 300. But and I've done it on bobcats too, run a cat and get the dogs off at dark and go back and put onto them and get them. I mean, it don't happen all the time, but I've done it 3 or 4 times.
Do you think, and this is a great question, do you think that dogs can trail an older bear track or an older cat track?
Well, I'd probably say bear because they're stronger scented, but a cat track, all the cat hunting we do is on snow because that's when the season's in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of the old timers told me, and I kind of believe them now, you take a track made when it's below 0, and if there's any sunshine the next day or whatever, the atmosphere warms up or the ground warms up and the scent will evaporate out of the track, come out of the track. Mm-hmm. In other words, it's frozen when the cat makes it. I don't know. I put my dogs on cat tracks that I know for a fact are 2 days old, and they opened and went on them and got them. But some of it's by sight too. A good cat dog, he'll back on the. I say it's a good cat dog. Any cat dog that I've seen, they'll run by sight and also scent. They'll step in that cat's track and follow him and jump him. But they'll probably take a older bear track, I think.
So you think your dogs could run a 2 or 3 day old bear track?
I know for a fact that they ran one that was 2 days old, unless another bear walked and stepped in the same tracks he did. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was like 24 hours old.
Mm-hmm.
I was going down main road into this old cornfield, and there was a bear in there, and the woman was walking along with a little munchkin dog on leash walking, and she said, "You bear hunting?" I said, "Yeah, just gonna run one, get some pictures." She said, "I wish you'd get him because he's in our apple trees and everything else, and there's a cornfield." I said, "I think he's in this cornfield right here." She said, "Well, I see him cross yesterday." I said, "You did?" She said, "Yeah." So I said, "When?" She said, "Right up with him between those 2 telephone poles." So I went up there, and they struck. They didn't get away on it good, and I never gave them a chance because it was on the main highway, and that track was over 24 hours old. But I went into the cornfield, and there was tracks in there. I don't know. I think they took the track too if I'd have let them mess around, but they didn't even know that. You could point a dog, but if he don't think the track went that way, he's not going to go until his nose tells him he's going that way.
Mm-hmm.
And but they ended up to get that bear going and jumped him. I'm quite sure that track was 24 hours old. I mean,
What time of year was that?
Pardon me?
What time of year was it? Fall?
Oh, it's fall, October. Now, in summertime,
Mm-hmm.
I had a farmer stop us, said, "You bear hunting?" He said, "Oh, yeah." And he said, "I just see the biggest bear I've seen in my life." And he was spreading cow manure and all things. And he said, "I'll get a load up. I'll be back in half an hour. I'll show you exactly where he went." So we pulled up there, and this was in, I don't know, must have been June. It was hotter than a firecracker. The guy was getting ready to plant his crops,
Mm-hmm.
the farmer. And we put them, that track was about 35 minutes old, he figured. And them dogs had the hardest time get away on that you ever see. But it was hot. I mean, terribly hot. And he said the biggest bear he ever seen. They got it going. They treed it, and they didn't do that good a job. It was so hot. They treed fairly good, but we got in there and crying out loud. The little fella didn't weigh 60, 70 pounds. After all that, we left him in the tree. Ragged looking. He was starting to shed a little bit, rubbing. That was in, I think, June or June, because the guy was, getting his cornfields ready, so it wasn't late summer, but that was a hot day.
Mm-hmm.
The heat, humidity is the biggest thing anyway on tracks.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always wondered because, here, of course, in August, we get to start hunting next month. Like, you're not running them 8, 10, 12-hour-old tracks. Like, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you got an hour and a half old track and the dogs are struggling.
Yep.
Get it out of here.
Good dogs, go tell dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish more people, I don't know how to get people to understand. And, that goes back to, 5 people looking at a dog and thinking different things. And, one of the things you said earlier, Nelson, that, I wished we could convey to people that listen and really want to do well is, like, you've been doing this 55 years.
Yeah. Yeah, be 57 coming up at 58. Yeah,
57. And you told me earlier that you're always learning.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you've had 17 years of having successcul hunts and catching clients with 100% success rate.
For 17 years. Oh,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And not everybody got one. If they did, there wouldn't be any left.
Yeah. 17 years of 100%. Been doing it for almost 57. And you're telling me that you could always learn something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I try to preach that. Like, you can take something, you can take a little bit of something from everybody. Everybody's got a different way, different style, different thought, different idea. And if you can take some of that and put it in your arsenal, then it just makes you better.
Yeah. And if somebody else got a better dog than mine, I want some of it. If he's got, some people get the best dogs in the world, and it don't matter what, no matter who comes up with what or what they do, that the other guy's dog will never match theirs. I say if the other guy's got a dog equal mine or better than mine, especially, I want some of these blood.
Yeah. Yeah, but I know you told me what. Tell the listeners what color dog you like.
Well, my favorite color is green.
Kind of makes you money, right?
If they make me money, I'll feed them. I don't care if there's a poodle, Heinz cross or whatever. But I do prefer a full hound. I don't like to breed the pit bulls in and all that, but some of them think you need it. And a lot of guys says walkers won't bay a bear and all that. I've got vet bills I wish I never had. And
yeah, I don't know that's kind of far fetched, really. Like that walkers won't bay. Like,
well, they won't bite a bear or nothing, they say, but
yeah,
they bite a bear enough for me. When a bear's laid up home in the doghouse, he ain't making. So I look at everything. They said everything you would do, dollars and dollars. So yeah, well, that's what I'm in it for. If a dog is laid up, 3 out of 7 weeks, 8-week season, he ain't paying his way to me, unless he's an exceptionally good dog. I mean, everybody's got exceptionally good dogs, I know, but I don't. But I get some, better than average dogs. As good as some and better than a few, whatever, however you want to word it.
If you're catching game 17 years straight at 100%, that is better than average. That is exceptional.
Yeah, people didn't believe me, but I have everybody sign a book that hunts with me, and I get stacks of them. And I get just about everybody's name that ever hunted with me at one time or another. Depends on the year. And like you said, that Anthony O'Neill, I had some O'Neill hunt with me, but I believe it was O'Neill because it kind of rung a bell. But I asked my wife, I said, what's that? She put all my books and things I don't need, I guess she says, in a big plastic tote. I said, I want to dig that out. She's right. I want you to look through them and find the guy, Anthony O'Neill, I think, sometime in the 80s. And she just looked at me like, I had two heads. I said, in your spare time? She said, well, in my spare time, I'll
get on it. That means she's not looking for it, Nelson. She's not looking for it.
I said, I know it's right there. I see it there 2 or 3 months ago. Christ, it's got to be right here, whatever it was. I'm looking for it.
Yeah. So let's wrap this up. What is your style? And I know we've talked about what you like, but put me a dog together that Nelson Cole wants to lead. I know you're looking for legs, looking for feet.
Feet and legs.
Big mouth.
Voice, brains.
Yep.
You got to have brains. And like one old guy told me years ago, he said, you got to know more than the dog now to train him. And he's right 100%. But I like a good dog with a good coat of hair and feet and legs and good disposition. And most all these dogs I've been breeding, I keep my dogs. I had 9, 10, 12 of them. I got like a half an acre fenced in, and they all run in it loose. And they get along. If they can't get along there, they're not going to get along anywhere. Now, right now, I've only got 2 or 3 dogs. But, they're all in together in the same fence. The only trouble I have, if I have any trouble at all, if a female is going to come into heat, then I got to take the female off, which we do anyway. But
yeah. So I was going to roll a question off of that one, the dog that you like. What was I going to ask you?
I know what it is. I'll have an answer, I'm sure.
Yeah. It slipped my mind. I got sidetracked there. Yeah, it's disposition is, and me and Doug talked about it. Me and several guests have talked about it. Me and Doug talked about it too. I've talked about this with some of my police canine trainers on here. We don't like those rattle-headed dogs. The dogs that are spinning in the pen and barking nonstop, and they just can't shut down. They're expending too much energy, one thing, but people see that a lot as that dog has got high drive. We talk about drive. That dog's got a lot of drive. No, that dog's got some compulsive behavior issues is what he's got.
Yeah. I had a female, the meekest little dog you ever see, and Doug had hunted with a female. I had a Nance bred dog that was close to the Nance dogs back in the early 70s, and his name was Wheeler. And I had a granddaughter of his, and I couldn't think of a name. I called her that Wheeler Pup until I could get a name that suited her. Well, anyway, she ended up with being Wheeler. She was the meekest little dog you ever see, but on a bobcat, she was too hard on them. And a bear too. She got bit in the same shoulder and by a bear, and we had a bobcat made up, and the bobcat hit her right down, and he was putting the claws right to her. The bobcat was on his feet, on his back, and he was sticking hair on the dog. And when I got in there, I reached down to separate the cat because she was letting the death balls right out of her, and he bit my leather mitten and pulled it off me. And I told the hunter, I said, "Get in here and shoot that cat," and he put it right in on my shoulder. And I tried to plug my ear the best I could, and he gave it to him. But when we had a cat bait on the ground, we only had a shotgun. You always told them, get a small tree if the cat's behind it, shoot the trace only. You don't want to blow a hole 3 inches bigger around than the cat, kind of wounds them a little bit. So, but I'm getting at that little dog. You'd look at her, you'd think that she was just a little, pussy cat, but well, she'd fight a bear and she'd fight a bobcat alone. So,
yeah, we just I just had a conversation too. Another thing, we're talking about dogs being timid, and a lot of people see a shy or timid dog, that a dog that won't do its job. But when that prey drive kicks in, that chase kicks in, most dogs snap out of that really, really quick.
Oh, she wasn't timid. She was a proud dog, but she was just minded her own business and handled good. One of the easiest dogs I ever had to break. And she had a lot of speed too. Just a good dog. Never got appreciated as much as she should have been, but she was a good dog. And
well, let me ask you this. So everybody gets caught up on genetics, and either the dog has it or he don't. And I think for the most part, I agree with that. How much training do you feel a person should give a dog before they decide that dog is not going to work? And what I've tried to explain to the guys that listen to me is, there's not a whole lot I can do with genetics. And some people say if they've got drive, they either have it or they don't. And I agree with that. But on the police side of it, I can take a medium dog, I don't want to say mediocre, a medium drive dog, and I can actually build that drive up some. Now, I can't make him, the superstar, but I can make him average or right there above average with building some of the techniques that we use for our stuff, for police world and the law enforcement world. So relate that back to hound hunting. What is your take and what is your thoughts on that?
Well, I used to coon hunt quite a lot, and I competition hunted. I had a couple of coon dogs. If I was starting to pop, if he didn't show me something on 10 coon, he had to do something worthwhile, or he'd never see the 11th. And bear hunting with hounds or my bobcat dogs, 4 or 5 trips out, whether you want to keep them or not, or give them away to a good home. But I've been fortunate I raised probably 6-7 litters, and I let the kids and the grandkids pick them out. And I've been lucky. I kind of guided them to a dog's good points, and I was very lucky as far as getting dogs. The ones that I picked that turned out to be good dogs. But again, I hunted them more than the average guy does too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could have a dog, and if you don't have the opportunity to get it out of him, he may not be the caliber dog that I have, because mine got into the woods more. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you know Doug Temple.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Doug's a friend of mine. I gave him a brother to this dog I got out here now, my common slug, and the Spud dog. And I told Doug, I said, you know, Spud was a lot better than Slug, because, you know, you had him, you gave him the opportunity, and you know, they come to Maine, they harvest, they hunt 2 or 3 weeks, they kill, you know, 20 bear or so. And but he told me the other day, that's why he had Slug down had breed a couple of females, and because he lost Spud, and he told me, he said there wasn't nickels worth the difference in them, as far as I can see, either your dog or mine. I said, but your dog had a lot more hunting than mine did. But he said he's still as good as the other one was. So
yeah, you have to give them opportunity, and
yes,
you know, I know we talk about this. I know Doug and I talked about this. Me and several other guests have talked about it. Putting your dogs in the hands of people that's going to give them a fair shake is as important as anything you can do.
Right.
Because you don't know. You can't have somebody, and that's not no fault to them. Sometimes life and work and responsibilities, and they don't have the opportunity to hunt like you do, or like, you know, as much as some people. But, you know, hunting them once or twice a month is not going to show you a whole lot.
No, it's not the dog's fault.
No.
I mean, Doug got a litter of pups, so I'd love to have one. I told him, I don't think I can do him justice.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to have one too, but
yeah,
I'd rather Doug hit him. I can come hunt with him, and he'll come hunt with me. Be just as good.
There you go.
Yeah,
get the best of both worlds, and don't have to pay the feed bill. Doug's paying it. All right. Now, so what do you
get done? I'd like to have everybody that hunts with hounds, or if you just hunt in general, if you're getting local hunting clubs, support them. This Sportsman Alliance, U.S. Sportsman Alliance of America that I got on, they're one of the greatest sports organizations for the hunters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had a bear from them. It cost us over $2 million to beat it. I don't know if I can say that enough. I can't even cut it out.
Nope.
But and they put in thousands of dollars. So I suggest everybody ought to join it and support them.
Let me read you this and tell me what you think, because now that you brought up Sportsman Alliance, has come off of a page. This is hunters and gun owners not registered to vote. Okay, this is hunters and gun owners that are not registered to vote. I'll give you Virginia, state that I live in, Virginia, 277,390. That's almost 300,000 votes right there for hunting and gun rights that are people or not. It does. I don't have your state. I don't have Vermont. I don't have Maine. I do have, let's see, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is 515,000 people not registered.
That's a million.
Hunters not registered to vote. North Carolina, talk about Doug's state. North Carolina, 370,000 people that hunt and own guns or own guns not registered to vote. Well, I mean, that's killing. That's killing us.
Yeah.
Like, you've got, we're fighting this thing here in Virginia right now. We're kind of everybody. Every state's always in some type of battle with special interest groups and the antis. However you want to say it, however you want to cut it, we're all battling this together. And whether you're a hound hunter or deer hunter, a turkey hunter, it doesn't matter. we're all in this together, because once they cut the low bearing fruit, they're going to go for the next limb and the next limb, and that just goes up the totem pole.
That's for sure.
You know, Colorado's fighting it right now. I mean, look at Washington, what they've done with them. California, like all these states are battling the same stuff, but we've got people that, I mean, it's going to be blunt about it. It doesn't affect me, so I don't have to worry about it. Well, what happens is it don't affect you today, but in 5 years from now, when you can't do it, then your kids can't do it and your grandkids can't do it. There's nobody to blame but the people that didn't get involved.
That's for sure.
I think that's what you're saying too.
Yeah. And W support them. They supported us big time. Who owns that? What's his name? Chip?
Buddy.
Woodbury.
Yeah.
I've talked to him a couple of times, but
yeah,
he helped our club out, our coon club.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a life member of that since I was 12, 14 years old. You know, they gave us all kinds of stuff for the youth hunts that we put on and stuff like that. You know, and that's, if I needed the dog collar, I'd sit down to him and get one right now if I need one. I mean, all my collars I got from him, you know, my GPS collars and all that good stuff, and leashes and you name it. So,
yeah, W's they're a very good company to work with for sure. So, well, Nelson, I appreciate your time. Are you and Doug going to get after it tomorrow, or are you going back home?
No, I got to go home. My wife's got appointments, and I got to take her. She's not feeling that great right now. So, plus I got a wedding on Sunday out of state I got to go to. I hope they get married once, and the second times I don't go. But so far, everybody's been married so far. They've been hanging in there.
Yeah. Well, Nelson, I appreciate your time. You know, thank you for coming on and helping us teach, train, and learn.
Yeah, I don't know everything about a dog, and I'm sure there's just as many people out there that got good dogs as I've got. Mine aren't the best. Like I told Doug, they get the bad, they're good, and they don't, the end's good. But a lot of good people out there got good dogs. No doubt about it.
That's right.
And like I said, if they've got something, it will help me. I want it. Want some of it.
More people should have that view.
Yeah.
If you know, if I need to up the production or genetics or whatever it is, then I may have to go somewhere else and get it.
Yeah. Now you train dogs for police departments, and my son-in-law is a state trooper. He's been in. He got almost 30 years, and he's a homicide detective.
Oh, shoo, that's not for me.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
He's in charge of the evidence response team now. He collects evidence. So after it happens, he goes now, but before he wasn't.
Yeah, he was going. Yeah, I got it.
Nelson,
have a good evening.
Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I'll give you a call maybe in a few days.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you. Close it down, Doug.